There's a moment a lot of women hit in their 30s and 40s that nobody really prepares us for. On the outside, life looks fine. I mean, you've done the things, you show up and people see you as strong and capable, but inside it's like something is quietly unhooking. Whether it's the job, the relationship, the routines you used to just go along with, they don't land the same anymore. And you catch yourself thinking, when did I disappear from my own life? And then you feel guilty for even thinking it. If that hits a little too close to home, you're not alone. By the end of this video, my hope is that you understand why you feel this way and have a few simple ways to start feeling like yourself again. We're going to talk about the identities you've been carrying, what's waking them up in the season, and some easy ways to shift into who you're actually becoming. Now, for most women, this doesn't show up as some big dramatic breakdown. It's usually much quieter. You're driving home and out of nowhere, your chest feels heavy and you have no idea why. Or maybe you're on the couch next to your partner. Everyone's fed, the day's done, and there's this little stubborn voice or feeling of this, is this really all there is? Or let's say you open your laptop or walk into work and it's like you're watching yourself play a part you've played for years. And because nothing is obviously wrong, it's so easy to turn it on yourself. I should be more grateful. Other people have real problems. Why can't I just be happy with what I have? I want you to pause for a second. What if this isn't about gratitude at all? What if what's actually happening is that the version of you who built this life has grown and you're bumping into the edges of who you were when you made a lot of these choices? When I look back at my own life and at the women I work with, I see the same patterns again and again. And it's like we've been wearing these identities for so long that we forgot we ever had a choice. And I want to name a few of them. Just notice which one feels familiar. There's the performer. This is the part of you that learned early on. If I do well, I'm okay. Good grades, doing things the right way, being the one who can be trusted with the hard stuff. So you become the woman who takes on a lot. You push through, you keep going when you're running on fumes. Now picture this, it's 10 p.m., you're answering emails on your phone, telling yourself it's just a busy season, except you've been in the busy season for about 5 years. And for a long time, that identity worked. You got approval, you got opportunities, you got to be the reliable one. But somewhere in your 30s or 40s, that constant pushing stops feeling like drive and it starts feeling like pressure. The dread creeps in. You're tired in a way that a power nap can't fix. The prove yourself version of you is exhausted. So take a breath and notice if that's you. Then there's the identity that's built around your roles. Not who I am, but who am I to everybody else? Someone's partner, someone's mom, the one who keeps the house running, maybe the go-to person at work, the daughter who holds everyone together. The roles can be deeply meaningful, but when they become your whole sense of self, something happens. If a role changes, it can feel like you disappear with it. A breakup or a divorce, kids spending the weekend away and suddenly the house is quiet, a job shift or stepping back from something you've done for years. On paper, it's a simple life transition. But inside, it can feel like, if I'm not that, then who am I now? It's not just your schedule that changes, it's your identity. And then there's a part of you that has spent years keeping the peace. You're the one who smooths things over. You anticipate everyone's needs. You say it's fine when it isn't because the idea of conflict just feels worse than swallowing it. Again, maybe you're the one who remembers birthdays, check-ins on people, manages the emotional climate of your family or your friend group. You've probably been called so easygoing, so understanding, the strong one. But over time, you start noticing little cracks and you hear yourself say, don't worry about it, it's fine, and feel your whole body tense. Things you used to brush off starts to sting. You feel that low, constant hum of resentment in situations where you keep saying yes, while every part of you is a no. And now you're just less willing to keep disappearing, to keep everyone else comfortable. If you feel a little called out right now, you're in good company. Trust me, I've been there. This shift doesn't typically come out of nowhere. Real life turns the volume up. Sometimes it starts with a quiet, I got here and I still feel off moment. You reach a version of success you thought you were working towards, the job, the home, the stability, the relationship, and there's still that little voice that says, I thought I'd feel different than this. You're not miserable, but you're also not lit up either. It's like the picture is right, but the feeling is wrong. And for others, it's a change in your core relationship, a breakup, a separation, a divorce, or staying in the relationship, but suddenly seeing it more clearly and realizing this doesn't fit who I'm becoming. that can feel like losing a piece of yourself, because it's not just the person or the status changing, it's the role you've lived inside for years. Then there's the sheer amount of responsibility. You've become the point person for everyone. Kids, work, home, maybe parents, bills, logistics. If you stopped, half a dozen things would fall apart. You wake up one day and realize, I can list everyone else's needs off the top of my head, but if you ask what I want, I don't even know. And underneath all of that is your body and your sense of time. Energy shifts, hormones change. Maybe you've had a health scare or lost someone close, or you're just aware in a way that you're not in that first chapter anymore. And you start thinking less in days and more in years. If I keep living like this for another 10 years, how does that feel? Put all of that together, and it makes perfect sense that old identity can't just keep running on autopilot. If you see yourself in any of this, I want you to hear this as if we were sitting at a kitchen table. The strategies that got you through your 20s and your early 30s simply aren't enough for who you are right now. Whether it's the performer, the roles, the peacekeeper, they all made sense at one point. They helped you belong, stay safe, even helped you function. At some point though, staying in those identities starts to hurt more than they help. And that's the discomfort you're feeling right now. It's not the end of your story. It's the part where things get really real. So instead of jumping straight to, do I need to blow up everything? I want to walk you through a very simple check-in. Not to judge your life, but to help you actually see what's going on. So if you have a notebook nearby, just grab it, or if you don't, just listen and notice what actually hits. So step 1, what identities have you been living inside? Think about how you secretly describe yourself, not your job title, your unspoken roles. Stuff like, I'm the one who holds everything together. I'm the strong one. I'm the fixer. I'm the good wife, good mom, good daughter. Or I'm the one who doesn't need anything, the reliable one at work. Let one or two of those rise to the top. If one came up immediately, that's usually the one to pay attention to. Then ask yourself, when did I first learn I had to be this way? You might remember a parent, a teacher, an ex, a boss, or you might not have a clear memory at all. It might just be, I've always thought this. And that's okay. Just notice it. Notice what comes up. Next, I want you to look at that identity and ask, what did this give me? Maybe it gave you approval, less conflict, a feeling of being needed, or of having some sort of control. Maybe it gave you a little bit of security. Then, without beating yourself up, I want you to ask, and what has it cost me? Maybe it cost you rest, maybe asking for help, being honest about your feelings, trying new things without being good right away, or maybe even letting people see you when you're messy or struggling. Now, you're not doing this to shame yourself. You're just being honest about the trade-offs. And that honesty is what creates room for something different. Now, I want you to zoom out to your actual life. Where do you feel the most resentful, the most drained, or checked out? Often that's where your old identity is already cracking. Maybe it's the way you handle everything at home by default, or the dynamic in your relationship, the expectations at work. Maybe it's a friendship where you're always the support person and never the one supported. If one situation popped into your mind right away, that's the one. You don't need a 5-step plan tonight. We're just quietly naming it. Now I want you to say this with me. This is a place where the old version of me and the woman I'm becoming are bumping into each other. That clarity alone is powerful. Now we turn towards the part of you that's trying to come forward. Instead of labels like good mom, good partner, successful, try finishing the sentence in your own words. The woman I'm becoming is someone who, now you might write something like, tells herself the truth even when it's inconvenient, or doesn't leave herself out of her own life. Let it be imperfect and honest. You're not signing a contract, you're just putting language to the version of you that's been whispering under all of the noise. And while you move through your week, you can ask, what's the one small thing you can do today that matches the woman I say I'm becoming? Tiny decisions repeated are what actually shift how you see yourself. Now, I'm not going to pretend that one identity audit fixes everything. Life will always be lifing, but it does feel different when you're not only living from an old identity. It can look like still showing up for the people that you love, but not being the default fixer for everyone's everything. Feeling allowed to rest without having to earn it first. I mean, you're still you're just less edited. And that feeling of, I recognize myself again, is worth so much. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, this is me, I just didn't have language for it, I'm so glad you're here. And I want to welcome you to the chapter where default stops working. Now, if you feel up to it, I'd love to hear from you. What's one identity you feel yourself quietly outgrowing right now? Or you can finish this in your own words. The woman I'm becoming is someone who, and drop it in the comments so I can see you and so other women know that they're not the only ones in this. Now, if you want to keep going with this work, the video I'd watch next is the one where I talk about how to make changes without blowing up your whole life. It'll meet you right where you are and give you some practical next steps. Until next time.